Mohammed Salim Oud Merzong, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania and Chairperson of the Executive Council. Your Excellency, Mr. Moussa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission. Your Excellency Sherry Ayok Bochwe, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana and host of the 45th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council. Honorable Ministers here present, Your Excellency Dr. Adesina Kinumi, President of the African Development Bank, Your Excellency Dr. Monique Nsazabaganwa, Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Mr. Claver Gatete, Executive Secretary of UNECA, Your Excellencies Commissioners of the African Union Commission, Your Excellencies Ambassadors here present, Excellencies Heads of AU organs, regional economic communities and mechanisms. I also recognize the presence of members of press and all distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now call His Excellency Dr. Mezung, Chairperson of the Executive Council, to call the meeting to order. Thank you.
No. Wait. No.
Bonjour, Madame, Monsieur.
Buenos días, señoras y señores. En el nombre de Dios.
In the name of God Almighty, peace on everybody. As we start this session today, I wish to wish you all a very warm welcome, particularly to the ministers and the senior representatives of member states. May I also express our satisfaction to see you all here this morning and to declare the session open. That is the 48th ordinary session of the Executive Council. And I would like to give the floor to the protocol of the African Union Commission to take us through the opening ceremony. Director of Protocol.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, can I humbly call all of you to rise for the African Union anthem and the national anthem of the Republic of Ghana. Your Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Salim Wild Marzouk, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania and Chairperson of the Executive Council. Your Excellency, Ms. Shirley Ayoko Pochwe, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana. Your Excellency, Mr. Musa Faki Mohammed, Chairperson of the African Union. Your Excellency, communities and regional mechanisms, distinguished members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished members of the press here present, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. A very good morning to you all. It is of my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you to the opening ceremony of the 45th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council, being held today, the 18th of July 2024, here at the Grand Arena, Accra International Conference Center, in the lively, charming capital city of Accra in Ghana. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Executive Council is one of the major statutory bodies of the African Union that coordinates and takes decisions on policies that aim to unify Africa. This is done through their great cooperation and coordination with the regional economic communities and the organs of the African Union, as well as the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNICA, together with our distinguished partners like African Development Bank and Afri-Exim Bank. The session of today, the 45th Ordinary Session, will provide political guidance and commitment of the African Union member states to continue advancing the African Union capacity in advancing provisions of Agenda 2063, working towards an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa we want. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, without further ado, allow me to detail the program for today's opening ceremony, which stands as follows. We will have a statement by Her Excellency Shirley Ayoko Pochwe, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana. We shall then have a statement by His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, followed by a statement by His Excellency Mr. Claver Gattet, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. And then we shall have the opening remarks of His Excellency Mohammed Salim Wild Marzouk, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania and the Chairperson of the Executive Council. And finally, as per usual practice, we will have the official group photo of the session at the designated area. Without any further ado, allow me now to call request Her Excellency, Madam Shirley Ayoko Bochwe, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana, to deliver her statement, Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, the Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, dear Monique, Your Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Salem Wood Merzouk, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional and Cooperation of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Chairperson of the Executive Council, distinguished colleague ministers of foreign affairs, Your Excellency Mr. Clever Katete, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Excellencies, permanent representatives of the African Union, commissioners of the African Union, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege to stand before you today at the 45th ordinary session of the Executive Council being hosted here in Accra, and to cordially extend the warm Ghanaian welcome to you. As we say here in Ghana, Akwaba. Your Excellencies, we have some significant matters regarding our union and issues confronting our continent to consider during our meeting over these couple of days. I trust that we will all constructively bring together our inputs to achieve the requisite synergies in our fraternal Pan-African quest. I believe that this year's theme of our union, educate an African fit for the 21st century, building resilient education systems for increased access to inclusive, lifelong, quality and relevant learning in Africa is both timely and appropriate. The theme not only captures the essence of the challenges and opportunities we face in the education sector, but also highlights the importance of resilient educational systems in addressing the challenges of the 21st century. It establishes the need for a renewed commitment to building a future where every African has access to an education that prepares them to meet the demands of their time. Therefore, our gathering here as ministers for foreign affairs, leaders and delegates of our respective countries reaffirms our commitment to prioritizing educational goals, which are central to the development and prosperity we seek for our people. I am glad to note that under the transformative leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, President of Ghana, the introduction of the free senior high school policy has significantly improved education in Ghana and has enhanced the prospects of our youth to take on the exigencies of the 21st century. The introduction of the free senior high school policy in 2017 has significantly increased access to quality education. Since its inception, senior high school enrollment has risen from 308,799 in 2016 to 507,519 in 2024. Which has positively impacted gender equality at the high school level. Our government recently launched the Ghana Smart Schools project, which focuses on providing tablets to learners in senior high schools and technical and vocational education and training institutions across the country. In our efforts, we have not overlooked the importance of creative arts. Developing a strong creative arts sector fosters well-rounded citizens who are adept in creativity, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. We are working towards the construction of a creative arts high school to advance creative arts education. Your Excellencies, several enduring lessons emerge from our experiences with STEM education, which we hope to share for your kind consideration, given our commitment to education as the theme of the year. Firstly, in today's digital age, access to quality education should not be constrained by geographical boundaries. We must invest in developing inclusive and accessible digital learning platforms that provide access to a wide range of educational resources. Secondly, the quality of education is heavily dependent on the quality of teaching. We launched a comprehensive teacher training program and reforms, targeting both SSD teachers and those preparing to enter the profession. By investing in our educators, we have been able to improve their skills and knowledge, thereby enhancing their ability to build the capacity of the next generation of citizens. Thirdly, the nature of educational curriculums is being reviewed, and outdated curriculum cannot meet the needs of today's generation. It is essential to undertake thorough reviews and, where necessary, redesign educational curricula across all levels. Our goal should be to foster critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration and creativity, as these are skills essential for thriving in the 21st century. Inclusivity must be at the heart of our educational policies. Promoting STEM education among girls is crucial for achieving gender parity in our society. In Ghana, we have launched targeted programs aimed at encouraging young girls to pursue studies and careers in STEM fields through scholarships, mentorship programs, affiliation programs, and awareness campaigns to ensure that girls excel in STEM. By building such dynamic educational systems, we are laying a firm and solid foundation for the achievement of the UN Sustainable Development Goal No. 4, which calls for inclusive and equitable education and the promotion of lifelong opportunities for all. I wish to urge dear member states to continue to seek progress, prosperity and development, irrespective of the challenges confronting us. In that vein, Ghana is delighted to host the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AFTA Secretariat, a flagship project of the AU and a key milestone in the attainment of Africa's transformational agenda. I wish to use this opportunity to urge member states to strengthen their commitment to the Secretariat, as it has the potential to strongly shape the future of the continent, strengthen its position in the global market, uplift the lives of its people, and accelerate the sustainable growth and development of the continent. Additionally, Ghana remains at the forefront of consolidating democracy and good governance within the sub-region. This year, we successfully hosted the second edition of the Accra Reflection Forum from 18th to 19th March 2024 under the theme Unconstitutional Changes of Government in Africa. The forum has led to the adoption of a landmark declaration outlining Africa's collective vision and plans for addressing the scourge of unconstitutional changes of governments. The diversity and rich inputs generated by us, the member states, on the subject ultimately culminated in the Accra Declaration on Unconstitutional Changes of Governments, which crystallized our joint position and orientation in the management of the challenge. The President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as champion for the establishment of the African Union financial institutions, being the African Central Bank, the ACB, the African Monetary Fund, the AMF, the African International Bank, AIB, and the Pan-African Stock Exchange, PASC, continues to advocate for the promotion of economic integration and development across our continent. The strengthening of these institutions will collectively enhance economic stability, promote sustainable development, and facilitate greater economic integration among AU member states. Ghana will continue to assiduously work on all fronts towards advancing the implementation of the shared vision of the Agenda 2063 of the African Union and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development of the United Nations. Excellencies, as I conclude, I'd like to emphasize the need to harness our collective strengths in utilizing opportunities and finding solutions to the challenges presented to our continent, including in the education sector, as per our commitment to this year's theme. We owe a duty to ourselves in this present age and as an obligation to future generations to achieve this. In the words of the indefatigable Pan-African icon, Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, I quote, "We all want a united not in our concept of what unity connotes, but united in our desire to move forward together in dealing with all the problems that can be best solved only on a continental basis," close quote. I wish to urge all delegations gathered here to reflect on our collective aspirations within our continent at large. Let us on this occasion remain resolute and committed to the shared vision of the Agenda 2063 of the African Union, our 50-year development plan in all its aspects with determination, unity, and dignity as Africans, and make this mid-year meeting a success. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your statement, and thank you for the warm hospitality extended to the African Union and all distinguished delegates here present. And now, allow me to invite His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, to deliver his statement. Your Excellency.
Monsieur le Président.
Madam Chairperson of the Executive Council, Madam Minister of the host country, Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Commissioners, Ambassadors, members of the Permanent Representatives Committee, Mr. Executive Secretary of the UN Economic Commission for Africa, Mr. President of the African Development Bank Group, heads of organ of the African Union, the presidents, executive secretaries, secretaries general of the regional economic communities and regional mechanisms, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express on behalf of the African Union Commission and on my own behalf our sincere thanks to the highest Ghanaian authorities, and first and foremost the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, as well as to the government and the brotherly people of Ghana for having accepted to host this 45th ordinary session of the Executive Council and all the facilities that have been placed at our disposal in order to ensure its success. There is nothing surprising. We are within the legendary hospitality of this great nation, the great people of Ghana. In the political history of Africa, Ghana resonates with a symbolic, permanent symbolic charge which has never diminished with time. The spirit and the memory that are always of that living hero of Pan-Africanism, who was Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, that giant of African thought who encompass us and inspire us in everything, every time that we set foot on this land and where he was born, and also which has been emulated by others till today. I am convinced that our deliberations which will take place and then will enable us to transcend ourselves and will, in the final analysis, enable us to make the gigantic step towards the Africa that we want. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of your deliberations of your last session in last February, you have had a set of decisions on various issues. Their implementation was assigned to the Commission and to the Permanent Representatives Committee mainly. The duty that I have with this statement is to report on the state of implementation of these decisions. And also the report of the Permanent Representatives Committee, which has the advantage of having systematic dealing with consideration of the issues, and the contents will be presented to you by the chairperson of the PRC, whose dynamism, effectiveness, and enthusiasm I want to commend, but I want to highlight some salient points. The draft budget for 2025, which has been submitted and has been minutiously prepared by the Commission with all its skills and those who have contributed to it. The level of statutory contribution to the budget, which has been capped to 200 million American dollars instead of the 250 million which was approved in 2023, taken into account the pressures that are exerted on most of our member states. However, this reduction in the budget poses two structural problems. First of all, the increase of dependence of the African Union on our partners, which obviously has been criticized, including within your council. The second problem is the coherence and the consistency of the policy of the African Union, which is very ambitious as regards development with its real potential and capacity of financing. The funding from the partners is very volatile, like in fact, which is even below than their pledges that they have made, and obviously this is a problem that you have to look into and to make a decision. Chairperson, with the adoption of with the issues of the United Nations that are brought up in our meeting and the increase in the progress that we have made, we could reduce our dependence on our international partners when we talk of peace and security and the financing of the peace support operations. The Peace Fund will depend on the quality of its governance, its policy of investments, which is effective and efficient, and more for a policy of transparency that will encourage positive responses to the appeals made to the various contributors. Among these contributors, we have already to mention the staff of the African Union and particularly of the Commission. Indeed, the Staff Association has launched a campaign for volunteer contribution to the fund. And obviously, this demonstrates our concern about peace and security, and it eloquently indicates that peace is a concern of each and everyone. I would like to recall that during the launching of the second decade of Agenda 2063, your council had decided to establish a fund in order to support the implementation of the decade, of the said decade. This decision calls for particular attention and the need in order to break from this paradox of the establishment of various entities and without the consistent and the consequent funding and resources. The management of all these efforts, in fact, calls for consideration of the auditors, a more rigorous consideration of the audit And these have been highlighted in the audit reports, and therefore we need to find the appropriate responses. Ladies and gentlemen, with regard to the participation of the African Union in the deliberations in the meetings of the G20, the draft guiding document highlights the priorities of the Union, and its huge potential of contribution is available. In consultation with the current office of the current chairman and the Commission, the Sherpas and the Deputy Sherpas have been appointed. The African Development Bank and the Afrexim Bank have expressed their readiness to support the financing of the representation of the African Union to the G20 meetings. This obviously should not, in any case, spare us of our responsibility, so that avoid our responsibility in the exercise of mobilizing human and financial resources, because the credibility and the efficiency of organization are at stake. The theme of the African Union for 2025, which is entitled Justice for Africans and the Persons of African Descent through Reparations. The problem of reparations to Africans of the continent and in the diaspora is not new. In fact, it is consubstantial to the African Union, which has always raised it, and this has been there on the table for a long time. In fact, a political program that has to be prepared and evaluated for in order to repair the prejudices caused to Africa, the slave trade, slavery, colonialism, neo-colonialism, and some are still current and above, and there is no doubt that it is a continuation of the international conference held here in Accra last year in 2023 on the theme Build United Front for Justice and also the payment of reparations to Africans. The theme proposed for 2025 has given greater visibility to this united front in order to have greater efficiency in the quest which is considered as an inalienable right. You will appreciate in this regard the draft strategy that has been submitted for your consideration in order to take care of our concerns and our legitimate aspirations. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conformity with the decision that you adopted last February, as the situation obtaining in the Pan-African Parliament, elections have been organized in order to fill the vacant posts within the Bureau of PAP. Furthermore, the work on the institutional framework, that is, of the Bureau and the Secretariat has indeed begun, and a progress report is available on that matter. Unfortunately, the audit exercise of the Board of External Auditors has been impeded by technical issues, and we don't have a budget line in the present budget. Despite that, we express our happiness with the achievements that have been made. To conclude on this point, I want to urge your Council, and also with this normalization of PAP, I urge the Member States, which have not yet done so, to sign and ratify the Maputo Malabo Protocol, which obviously is a characteristic of all parliaments for the PAP to become more functional and operational. If you want to, if the operationalization of functionality of PAP is not there, we still have another issue, which is the African Commission on Nuclear Energy, AFCON. And the Executive Secretary continues to defy our authorities and that of the hierarchy. And it depends on these hierarchical superiors, and yet he refuses. The disciplinary action has been taken, and the separation will be implemented, because we cannot tolerate any violation of violation of our rules and procedural rules. The action of the organization for the African Humanitarian Agency, which focuses on the adoption of its structure submitted for your consideration and approval. The initial staff has already been determined with an estimate of the global cost for the initial launch of the activities of this agency, and this is spread over 5 years. I would like to appeal to the member states and also to the partners to give favorable consideration to the contribution that they have pledged. The establishment of this agency will increase the efficiency of our humanitarian aid mechanism. It is the moment for me to thank the Republic of South Africa for its voluntary contribution in order to help the humanitarian agencies that we have faced. As regards the Center of Excellence for the exclusive markets in Africa, with the host country, that is Tunisia, the Republic of Tunisia, it has the host headquarters agreement has been signed, and this document is submitted for your consideration and approval. This center will play an important role in the economic initiatives for the enterprises and partnerships that will be in line with an optimum working relations with AFCFTA. The operationalization of the center initially and the initial cost has already been determined, and it will be on time and in 2 phases. That is, Tunisia has committed itself to support the operationalization of the center, and we would like to express the gratitude of the African Union to Tunisia. How can we not mention the preparations of our participation in the major events in the United Nations Summit for the Future, which is scheduled in September in New York? As you know, the major theme that is governed African and artificial intelligence in the service of humanity underscores the ambivalence of artificial intelligence, which already is contrary to the ethics that are commonly accepted. You know as much as I do, if not better, that is, how can we not be sensitive to our cultures, our beliefs, and our own values? In a spirit of critical vigilance, the African Union has already worked out 2 important documents, that is the African Digital Compact and also the strategy on artificial intelligence. After adoption by your Council, these texts will serve as instruments and as an advocacy for the African common position in the negotiations leading to the preparation of the World Digital Compact. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I want to conclude my statement by making an appeal to the Member States to promote sporting activities on the continent. Do we still need to emphasize and stress the role of sports for nations and peoples? We have all commended Ghana for the quality of organization of the African Games last year, and therefore I want to call upon our member states to increase their political, financial and educational investments in sporting activities, which obviously has become the quasi-magic for our youth. My ardent wish here is that we obviously make the next African Games in 2027 in Egypt a great moment of fulfilling the dreams of our youth. Our vast mobilization of support for the success of the event Youth Connect will be organized in Rwanda in October. Will be a gift to the African youth. May the youth and the innovative and entrepreneurial initiatives be successful. I want to seize this opportunity to also wish good luck to all the African sportsmen and women who will soon be participating in the Olympic Games in Paris soon. I thank you for your kind attention.
Chairperson of the African Union Commission, for your statement. And now allow me to call His Excellency Mr. Claver Gattet, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, to deliver his statement. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency Mohammed Salim Mezoug, Chair of the Executive Council and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Your Excellency Moussa Faki Mohamed, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Shali Bochwe, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency Dr. Monique Nsanzabaganwa, Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Honorable Ministers and Heads of Delegations, African Union Commissioners and Heads of Organs, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to address the 45th ordinary session of the Executive Council on the important theme of education. I would like, first of all, to start by thanking the government of the Republic of Ghana for the warm welcome and hospitality. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, to reach sustainable development goals and achieve Agenda 2063, we must put education, science, technology, and innovation at the forefront of our efforts. Unfortunately, Africa faces significant challenges, primarily due to the inadequate financing and high indebtedness of most of our countries. Governments struggle to access long-term concessional financing. Official development assistance and foreign direct investment are also dwindling, and our limited tax to GDP ratios further constrains domestic resource mobilization. These financial challenges are exacerbated by rising food and energy costs, fueled by increasing and unpredictable extreme weather events, which reduce the fiscal space for our countries to operate. Your Excellencies, climate is costing Africa about 5% of GDP, and it is also increasing. In addition, the global level playing field remains uneven, with Africa's borrowing costs being over 10 times higher than Germany and nearly 4 times higher than the United States of America, according to estimates done by UNCTAD. We must therefore persist in advocating for the reform of the global financial architecture that is fit for purpose. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, despite these obstacles, Africa has immense potential: significant arable land, coveted natural and critical mineral resources, major energy renewable potential, a youthful population, and a sizable market. However, potential does not drive growth or curb inflation. We must translate this potential into action, starting with transforming our education system. Education must be integrated into our industrial policy. We must not shy away from this approach, as other countries do the same to mitigate external shocks. From the United States Inflation Reduction Act to Made in China and to the European Chips Act, to name but a few. It should also go without saying that the science, technology, and innovation must be at the core of our development agenda. They are the foundation to building strong, competitive, resilient, and prosperous societies. Without science, technology, and innovation, we cannot avoid the middle-income trap. Neither can we claim the 21st century. As such, we must make deliberate efforts to ensure that 3/4 of Africa's youth without digital skills are equipped to meaningfully participate in the workforce of the future. We may not be able to play catch-up to the $370 billion spent on research and development in 2023 by only 7 companies: Amazon, Alphabet, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Tesla. but deliberate investments in Africa's research and development, which currently stands at 0.45% of GDP, and STEM courses are fundamental to reap the benefits of smart technologies and artificial intelligence. This is in our control. It just requires political will and smart allocation of resources. There will be trade-offs, but that's why we are here today, to make choices and take the right decisions. Our schools need to be connected. This is a sine qua non condition if we do not want to leave more people behind, a choice we cannot afford. The current connectivity levels of 40% of primary schools and 50% of lower secondary schools will not be enough. Here, innovative solutions, such as the GIGA initiative, when scaled up, can make a real difference in connecting all schools to the internet. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, boosting innovation and modernizing our education system will require significant investments, and governments alone cannot afford this. Therefore, we must create the right incentives for the private sector to meaningfully participate in this important transformation agenda. It makes business sense. Indeed, Africa's private sector can only compete globally with a workforce equipped with the right skills. Expanding access to technical and vocational education and training benefits the private sector and is the key for employment and job creation. Unlocking the full potential of public-private partnership offers a win-win for everyone. Finally, we cannot overlook the role of the regional mechanisms. We need economies of scale to generate the resources required. Therefore, regional agglomerations offer us the opportunities to grow the private sector, create more jobs, and boost trade and investments. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, securing adequate financing for education is both an imperative and a human right. What is happening around us must strengthen our resolve for fairness and equity. We also owe it to our future generations to remain resolute on the call for a better global financial architecture. Next week in Addis Ababa, finance ministers and other stakeholders from around the world will convene for the first of the 4 preparatory meetings in the lead up to the 4th Financing for Development Conference, scheduled to take place next year in Spain. The outcome will be a new consensus for global economic and financial governance. Africa perhaps has the highest stake, and we have an opportunity to make our voices heard. We count on your active participation. We need a strong African common position and voice, and ECA remains committed to work side by side with you along the journey. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, for your statement. And now, allow me to invite His Excellency, Dr. Mohammed Salim Wild Marzouk, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, Chairperson of the Executive Council, to deliver his opening remarks. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين.
Excellency, Ms. Shelley Ayoko Bochwe, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana, Excellencies, Ministers, and Excellencies, Commissioners of the African Union, Excellency, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mr. Moussa Faki Mahamat, Excellency, the Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Excellency Mr. Claver Gatete, the Executive Secretary of the Economic Commission for Africa, Your Excellency, the President of the ADB Group, Excellencies, Heads of Delegations, and members of the PRC, ladies and gentlemen. First off, allow me to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the sisterly Republic of Ghana, its government, and its people for the warm welcome and hospitality extended to us all upon our arrival since our arrival in this very beautiful city of Ghana. We also would want to commend them for the meticulous organizations and the measures taken to ensure a successful session of the Executive Council. My sincere appreciation also goes to my friend and brother, the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, and his entire team and collaborators for their exemplary management of our organization, and also for the efforts made in implementing the resolutions and decisions that we are going to adopt during this session. May I also seize this opportunity to sincerely thank the PRC for the remarkable effort and their diligence in preparing this session. I would like to convey the regards of His Excellency, the President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, that is, the current President of the African Union, Mr. Mohamed Sheikh Owalsani. I want to convey to you his best wishes for a fruitful session. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the convening of the 45th Ordinary Session of the Executive Council is happening after the adoption of the first decade under Agenda 2063 has concluded. This is a unique opportunity for us to express our pride of the successes that we have made. We're making this success in a very complex period of marked by COVID-19 pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the climate-related disasters, each with serious economic, social, and security implications. As we embark on the second decade, we must step up our efforts to regain lost ground and meet our ambitious goals of the Agenda 2063 thanks to the effort of the sons and daughters of Africa in collaboration with our partners like international institutions. To this effect, I would like to talk about the promising opportunities presented through our organization's participation in events like the G7, the Africa-Korea Summit, and our forthcoming membership in the G20 Summit. These engagements, alongside the outcomes of the Nairobi Summit on fertilizers and soil health, underscore our dedication and potential in addressing pressing global issues. This actually goes to translate our commitment, and this is the way we want to start building up the next decade of the continent. We We want to build a continent of stability, integration, economic integration, complementarity, and prosperity. We have to count on our identity, our civilization, to develop a unique model of governance, human rights, and an African Union that would be in a position to fully play its role on the international arena. And for all these reasons, within the framework of our meeting today, with the blessings of God, we are going to definitely start. We're going to make a few progress for our way forward. And we're going to be adopting very important decisions, and among which we are going to be talking about the establishment of the African Humanitarian Agency, the African Inclusive Markets Excellence Center as well, and their budget. And also we will be addressing the situation of the African Peace Fund, so that these agencies or these institutions are going to rise up to all the crises that they are facing. Lastly, it is crucial to empower the institutions to address humanitarian issues and crises stemming from migration, climate change, armed conflicts with utmost efficiency. These challenges are widespread across the regions of the continent, and I want to thank you all for attending this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Chairperson of the Executive Council, for your statement. And now, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates, I now invite Honorable Ministers, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Commissioners of the African Union, and the UNICA Secretary, Executive Secretary, heads of RECs and organs for the family photo at the designated area. Our protocol officers will guide Your Excellencies and distinguished participants. Following the family photo, the closed session will resume immediately, and moving forward, His Excellency, the Chairperson of the Executive Council, will guide the rest of the session. With that, I thank you for your time and attention, and I wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much.